Hello Wonderland, Kelly here, out on a shortish hike this morning to try out a new piece of gear, which I'm actually trying out right now. We'll talk about it. All right, come along. So, ever since I started this channel, I've been recording with this for my A-roll, talking head type stuff. And this is the DJI Pocket 2, which is your little handheld gimbal camera. And I've liked this a lot. Obviously the size, very pocketable. The wireless mic is an excellent little feature to have. And yeah, the quality's been pretty good, cell phone-ish basically, because it's a small sensor, small camera. But the stabilization that the gimbal provides, I always really liked, and just the form factor and the quality that you get for the size. I've enjoyed it. But the drawbacks to this were this tiny, tiny little screen. Let me turn this on so you can kind of see. You probably can't even see the screen, and neither can I when I'm recording with this thing. So basically I can make sure my head is in the shot, but that's about it. So yeah, the screen was a big drawback for me. The small sensor really didn't give much depth of field, so I never really liked that too much. Yeah, those were really my main drawbacks with this. So what I'm filming on right now, and which I should have thought about so that I could actually show it to you, is this one's update, so the DJI Pocket 3. And it fixes those things. It increases the size just a little bit, but it gives you an actual 2-inch LCD screen, which is much nicer for composing and recording. And the sensor size, the camera, it ups the sensor size to a full 1 inch. So that should be better for hopefully depth of field, a little better quality, better low light performance is what we're seeing in some of the test videos that are out there already. It just came out like last week or the week before. I snapped one up pretty quick, but this is actually my first time to get out and actually use the thing. It has just not been a good fall for getting out and about for whatever reason. Life keeps getting in the way. But yeah, so I'm out today at Pocahontas State Park, by the way. Not too far from home, so I don't have all day, just the morning. But yeah, I wanted to get out, test the Pocket 3, give some rundown on that and how it works, and see what I can see. It's past fall migration for birds, so I don't expect a whole lot of birds. Could find some other wildlife. We're getting a cold front moving through today, so right now is actually as warm as it's going to be today. It's going to just keep cooling off as the day goes on and the cooler air moves in. So I'm rambling. Let's get back on the trail and we'll see what we can find, and I'll talk a little more about the Pocket 3 as we go, because it's pretty cool. Okay, I'll go ahead and give you a little comparison side by side. I'm filming right now on my R7, which I don't usually do, and the R7, by the way, is the camera that I've brought on this hike today. So yeah, so this is the Pocket 3. Very nice. Like I said, nice big screen, so you can actually see what you're filming, which right now is my camera. And it's a touch screen, of course, so it just makes interacting with this thing so much better. And I like how it flips like that. That's actually the power switch, or one way to turn it on and off. So flipping it turns it on and it powers up like within 2 seconds or so. So you can go to filming pretty quick, and then when you want to turn it off, you flip it. You can either push that cancel button to stay in portrait mode. It can film in portrait mode for TikTok and whatnot. I don't do that. Or it'll just turn it off and lock the gimbal, which is nice. I like that. This is the Pocket 2, so you can kind of see the size comparison. The Pocket 2 is actually quite a bit smaller because it actually ends right here. What this is called the all-in-one handle, which I got with the creator combo with this thing. And that is where the receiver for the wireless mic lives for this. So without that, you can't use the wireless mic on the Pocket 2. With the Pocket 3, you can. The receiver is built right into the body, so you don't need an extra handle like that. What I've got on here is this unit actually ends right here. This little thing clips on. And that just lets you put a 1/4-20 thread on the bottom. That's basically all this does. To me, this could actually be smaller. But it does also give a little bit more grippiness. Extends the body a little, which is what I'm used to, so I like that. So yeah, otherwise, comparison, you can see the gimbal, the camera, is quite a bit bigger on the 3 than the 2, and that's because of the larger sensor. Pretty robust. I found the gimbal to be tough. I keep it in its little carrying case as much as I can when it's in my pocket, just to protect that, but not waterproof, obviously. This is not an action camera per se, but really just a vlogging camera is the idea, and that's what I've used it for. But yeah, the screen difference. Let me turn this one on so you can kind of see that again. Yeah, the difference in the screen size is just pretty crazy. And much better on the Pocket 3, so I'm liking that a lot. This is really my first time using the Pocket 3. I've played with it at my desk a bit, but being out and about with it, this is my maiden voyage with this thing, so I'm hoping the quality and everything that I get is good. Yeah. Okay, trying to get a little closer here so I can show you the Pocket 3 a little more up close. So, as a quick overview, you turn it on, like I said, flip the screen, and it's ready to go. You can set it to whether you want the gimbal to point forward, which would be, you know, vlogging camera use, or it can point backwards if you're shooting out into the landscape or whatever you're doing. So that's nice. The setting I have it on is basically remember last position. So if I had it as a vlogging camera, when I turn it back on, it'll do that. Yeah. Yeah, the controls are pretty simple. You got a joystick, and you can switch the joystick between panning the gimbal or zoom, and you do that just by tapping this little button, and then you've got a digital zoom. This films up to 4K 120, I think. I never do that. I usually shoot at like 2.7 just so I can crop in a little if I want to, which I rarely do anyway. My videos I just post at 1080p. 4K to me doesn't make that big a difference, so sorry. Disk space is a thing. Okay, so one thing I do like about this, on the Pocket 2, which I put back in its case, to flip the gimbal around you had to push a button 3 times real quick. And with gloves on or anything like that, it was hard to do. So a lot of times I would be trying to flip the screen while I'm talking and it wouldn't. So yeah, that was a little bit of a pain. This one has a button right here on the screen. Tap that. 1 tap and you flip around. So that's nice. And I do that a lot if I'm talking, you know, talking head, but then I want to flip around and show what I'm looking at. That's one of the reasons that I like this kind of camera in the first place over a cell phone or, you know, anything else. Let's see what else we got. It has face tracking, ActiveTrack 6, DJI calls it. By the way, I'm not sponsored by DJI or anything. If they want to, get in touch. I know my channel's pretty small right now, so I buy all my stuff myself. So yeah, this is not sponsored or anything, and you'll see along with me what kind of footage I'm getting out of the Pocket 3 today. So, joystick, yeah, record button. Self-explanatory, right? One thing I do like though, this is the new wireless microphone, the DJI Mic 2, that comes with the creator combo for the Pocket 3. I think you'll be able to buy these separately as well. As far as I know, this only works with the Pocket 3, and my old Pocket 2 mic will not work with the Pocket 3, so kind of locked into the ecosystem there. But this thing I like. They changed it up a bit. On the Pocket 2 one, which I'm wearing for some reason, this dead cat, the wind muff, comes off pretty easily, and I've lost at least one. Yeah, so that's a little bit of a pain. On the Pocket 3, just let me turn that off right now. Shut down. Okay. It actually has a clip, or it goes into the 3.5 millimeter plug, which you can also plug an auxiliary mic, like a lav mic, into this, which is cool. But that makes it really easy to put on, and it goes on solidly. So that's an improvement. Mic itself, pretty similar to the one with the Pocket 2, but this does offer internal recording. Has like 11 gigs in here, I think. So if you want to record your audio separately from this camera or any camera, you can do that with this. I haven't tried that. I don't know that I will. It's fine that it pipes it into the camera, so I like that. Power button on the side and a link button. And what the link button also does, once this is set up, it acts as a remote record start-stop button. That is cool. I like that a lot. So I can set up my shot, get in position, use this to start recording, which I couldn't do with the Pocket 2. Both Pocket 2 and Pocket 3 support the DJI Mimo app on the phone, and that lets you not only see the live feed from the camera, but also start and stop recording there. But you know, that's another device to have around and ready to go. So I do like that this works as a remote like that. So very cool. What else? So Pocket 3, that's about it. With the creator combo, I always get the creator combo because it comes with good stuff. So it comes with the mic in this case, which is critical to me, so that's the main reason I bought that. But in addition to this little base, it comes with a battery grip. So it's about twice the size of this. Plugs on, extends the body even more if you want more grippiness. But it also, the battery in that charges the Pocket 3's own battery as you go. So kind of just extends the battery life quite a bit. So yeah, so far, liking it a lot. Form factor is similar to the Pocket 2. Hoping the performance is a lot better, which it certainly should be. So let's get back on the trail, see what we can see, film some stuff. Rock on. Here in the Richmond area, I want to say we're a little bit past fall color peak at this point. Flip around and you can really see lots of leaves have already fallen, obviously, all over the place. Some trees still have color. Out there, up there. Hopefully I'll find a nice little stand of trees that'll give me some good fall color shots, maybe. We'll see. Future Kelly here. Back home, looking at the video, editing the video, seeing a few things that I wanted to call out before we go too far. So one of them is when I flip the gimbal around from selfie mode to looking out, in the video I took, you'll notice that once it flips, it reverses. And I believe that's because of the setting in the menu called Selfie Flip, which I played with before I took it out, and I left it on, and I shouldn't have left it on. Because when you're looking at the camera, it really doesn't change anything. It behaves the same whether that setting is on or off. But I believe if it's on, it makes the video show that effect, and my Pocket 2 did not. So to test that right now, as a matter of fact, I'm going to flip around and then flip back. And yeah, hopefully that will look normal in the video, unlike what you're going to see as we go forward. So I think that was a me thing, my fault, bad setting. And oh, the other thing I wanted to mention real quick, all the modes on this I confirmed are 10-bit, which is nice. DaVinci Resolve, which I use for editing my videos, doesn't always like 10-bit footage, but it seems to have no problem with the Pocket 3's 10-bit footage. And I think that's because it's 420 for the color space, unlike my R7, which is 422 10-bit, and DaVinci does not like that unless I transcode it. So maybe that's just a Windows thing. I'm on Windows 11 with DaVinci, so Macs might be different, and I'm using the free version, which is a little more limited than the studio version of DaVinci, but just wanted to throw that out there too. Okay, on we go, back to Old Kelly. My plan this morning is to take this trail, these trails, to Beaver Lake, which is one of the smaller lake within Pocahontas. There's a trail that runs around it. Figure if there's wildlife to be found, that's probably where it is. But in the meantime, look at this. You know I like looking down the trail shots, and that is a looking down the trail shot. Let's see what we can do. I don't do enough of this, just showing you guys kind of what I think of compositionally. So, and I need a better setup. I'm gonna have to get a little mount for this thing. Okay, so we're looking at the back of my camera here. So I'm seeing, I mean, I love just the converging lines. Obviously the trail kind of dips down a little bit, goes up around a bend way up there in the distance, and I like that a lot. If I go like this, see how much sky I'm getting? That's not ideal. So I could tilt down like this and get more of the trail. Let's try one like that. I'm at 1/20th of a second at ISO 400, so doing this one-handed is a little tricky. Okay, I like to do a vertical, so I could do one like this maybe. Not showing you my screen anymore because I'm looking at the other one. And I'm just doing single exposures here. I'm not doing HDR. Then I'm going to zoom in to about 50 millimeters on my, I'm using the 24-105 f4L right now. So if I do that, see, that tightens things up quite a bit, which I think I like that better. Do one of those, couple of those, try a vertical. And I'm thinking color-wise, we can really make that pop in post. Back to Pocket 3 talk. One thing I should mention is the battery life. So on the Pocket 2, battery life was okay. It would usually last me while I was out for a day. I would usually bring a battery bank, power bank along so that I could top it off if I needed to. But I think on the Pocket 3, they've improved the battery life, and not only that, they've made it fast charging. So if you use, you know, a 65-watt charger, I think, it'll charge from basically 0 to 80% in about 15 minutes. 16 minutes is what they say. So that would be handy while you're out and about if you do need to top off the battery. If you're using that extended battery grip, obviously that extends your life as well. So that wasn't really an option on the Pocket 2. So that's nice. And I think without that battery bank, full charge would be about half an hour, 0 to 100. Now there's a trail off to the side here, and I want to say that's where I want to go. So I'm going to need to check the map. So there's a trail that cuts over to the Beaver Lake Trail. So let me navigate real quick, and then I'll be back. Yes, I was correct. This is the trail that cuts over to the Beaver Lake Trail. So let's do that. I should note too, the Pocket 3, it basically has 3 color profiles, color modes. So there's standard, which is what you would use if you don't really edit your video and you just want it straight out of the camera to look as good as it can. That's what you would use. Then there's a couple of, there's HLG, which is basically an HDR mode, and I'll give that a try too. And then there's D-log, some kind of log mode, which is better for post-processing, and that's what I'm shooting in, so hopefully that'll work. All the modes, as far as I have seen, are 10-bit, which is nice. I'm pretty sure the Pocket 2 was only 8-bit, so hopefully colors, dynamic range, all that stuff will look good. So let's see. In fact, I'm going to do a little test. I'm going to stand right here, and I'm going to pan around. This is in the log mode, and we'll see what that looks like. Both edited and unedited. All right, and then I'm going to do the same thing in normal mode. Again, I'm at 2.7K and 30 frames per second here. Edited and unedited. And lastly, the HLG mode. Edited and unedited. So D-log M is the the cinematic mode that is offered. So there you go. With the Pocket 2, I have to say, because it was so hard to work with from an interface perspective with that teeny tiny little screen, I really didn't mess with it very much. So I would basically leave it in the same mode all the time, same shooting parameters, just pull it out and shoot like a cell phone basically. So I'm hoping with this one, because it's a lot easier to work with, I can be a little more creative in picking my modes and parameters and use it a bit more. Since I can see more easily the whole frame that I'm capturing, I should be able to frame things up a bit better. So see how it goes. I also never really used the face tracking on the Pocket 2. I'm using that on this today to see how that looks. So the idea there is, as I move the camera around, it keeps my face nice and centered in the frame, more or less. So yeah. And if I were to set the camera up and do kind of a shot with me in the distance, it would follow me around the frame as I move, which is kind of like having an extra little cameraman. Since I'm solo on these outings generally, always, yeah, that might come in handy too. So really excited about this little gizmo. See what it can give me. Okay, so I'll continue hiking a bit, maybe take some shots along the trail here, and get to the lake and see what's happening. So you know, I'm a fern fan, and we got a little one over here. And it's not much by itself, but what I'm seeing behind it is a lot of fall color. And I think the pop between the green of the fern and the leaves, which are, you know, kind of a dusty brown, and then the yellows and oranges that I'm seeing behind it, I think that might make an interesting shot. And I'm gonna frame it in portrait mode, portrait orientation. So I'm getting the fern in the foreground and that color in the background. And I think that will be pretty cool. I'm still at F10. I'm gonna go to F5, 6. A little bit more background blur there. And I'll try one since I'm down low. Try one like that too. All right, see how that goes. Kind of interesting, the trail has almost disappeared because of all the leaves. Kind of fun. So, I just had a thought, what was it? Oh yeah, the camera on the Pocket 3, basically a 20mm full frame equivalent field of view, which is what you're seeing right now, and a fixed f2 aperture, which, given the sensor size and the focal length, really works out to more like an f5.6. So still, I'm hoping there's a bit more background blur and more bokeh on this camera than on the Pocket 2, which, like I said, with the smaller sensor, was really more like a cell phone camera. Hopefully this is a little more cinematic. What I'm out here to see. Yeah, I think over there, down the hill there, I'm starting to see the lake. So we're getting there. Like I said, there's a cold front moving through today, so skies are very overcast, which is not great for shots that include skies, but that's not what I'm really going for. And for everything else, it creates this nice, even, soft, diffused light, which, again, great for photography. So, a little dim. It's a little dim, but it's even, and that's nice. So I'm on the Beaver Lake Trail now, circling the lake. I forget how long this trail is, but I think I can do the whole thing and then head back. So hopefully we'll see some good stuff out here. Stay tuned. So this might be interesting. I found a little spot where I could get down to the lake, so you can see it's mucky from here. So this that I'm looking at doesn't look like much. It looks pretty cluttered, right? And indeed, it is. But this might be a good opportunity, and let me pull my camera out here. So if this is the 24mm shot, which is about 38 on this camera, if I zoom all the way out to 105, which would be, what, 170-ish, 180-ish, let me focus there. So, yeah, I'm liking that a lot better. The plants out in the lake, I don't know if you can see those well, but they're neat. And then the color in the background, I'm liking that too. So, and even these leaves in the foreground, they'll be out of focus, but it's kind of cool. Right here, this spot, I am like surrounded by color. And photographically, it's a little overwhelming. There's no way to get this whole scene in a shot, really, not with any coherence, right? So any image, any good image, the viewer kind of needs to know what they're supposed to be looking at. And here there's just so much. I don't think that would happen. So the thing to do here is find details, I think. Get some of these multiple colored leaves. Yeah, let me roam around here just a minute and see what I can come up with. Breeze came through just then and knocked some leaves out of the trees. Hopefully I got a couple of shots of them falling, because it's fall. All right, look at this. More color. It's really beautiful out here. This is, maybe we might be past fall peak, but there's still plenty out here. Loving it. I've picked up a friend. I would believe that is a tussock moth caterpillar. And the hairs usually mean it can be itchy, stingy. I don't think this guy's that potent. I'll see if I can get him off and get a shot or two. Always nice to make friends. Speaking of friends, there's a few YouTube photographers I follow, of course. Got to get my inspiration somewhere. But one of them is a bloke called James Popsis. And he's UK based, of course. Not of course, but yeah, he's UK based. But I like his videos a lot and his style. He's kind of really neat photographic style where he likes to blend natural scenes with man-made elements. And the juxtaposition is lovely. So yeah, worth a follow, worth a checking out. But he had a video the other day about good shots versus great shots. Images. Good images versus great images. And I mean, obviously that's subjective, right? But what he kind of, the conclusion that he kind of came to was that a great shot is not necessarily some grand image, some grand scene that lends itself to photography. Obviously, you know, the things that stand out, the honeypots, as he called them. And those are fine, of course, but what he concluded really was that a great image is one that takes something that's maybe not that interesting and makes it interesting, either from perspective, exposure, you know, techniques. Yeah. And I like that idea, and that's kind of been my philosophy all along, I think. That, I mean, I love a grand image, a place that just screams out, photograph me. I like those, sure. But yeah, when you can just roam around and find the details and use those, and your photographic skill, of course, to make a really interesting image. that's when you win. So, something to keep in mind. And I'm trying to do that, keep that in mind as I roam around here. So, see what else we can see. Lake was very nice. It's beautiful right now. Not a lot of wildlife. My Merlin app picked up both ruby-crowned and golden-crowned kinglets, which are tiny little birds. Very cute though. And I think I saw them flitting about in some brush, but yeah. My eyes aren't good enough to pick them out and shoot them. Shoot them in the face. Okay, so now, basically starting to head back to the car. So like I said, I've really only got this morning. Need to get back in time for lunch and some other stuff going on later. Oh, birds, hold on. Not actually sure what kind of bird that was, but I got a couple shots of him. It cranked the ISO up to 12,800, so hopefully Pure Raw 3 can clear those up. I'm using FV. Usually when I'm shooting birds these days, I'm using FV. Just make sure I get the right shutter speed. This is nice. That's where I just came from. That's where I'm going. All right. Fantastic. I'm really liking what I'm seeing here. The way the path goes over these kind of rolling hills, especially if I lift the camera up a bit. Seeing that? That's lovely. So, I'm gonna do here. I'm gonna try to get about 1/100th of a second shutter speed just to make sure I'm not too messed up shutter-wise, shake-wise. Okay, so I'm ISO 1100th, f8, that should be all right. Now, I'm gonna focus right on this first rise. Take one like that. Maybe a nice vertical where I'm cropping the sky out though. See how that looks. Not too bad. Back of the camera shot. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, this is a lesson in always looking behind you. Let's look at this action. Another rise and dip. In fact, the same one that I was on the other side of a minute ago, but yeah, I think I might like that even better with the trees in the background. This one though, I'm gonna zoom in a bit. Let's see how that goes. Okay, so Zooming all the way into 105 didn't really do it for me, but about 70 here looks pretty good. So on this camera, that's what, about 112 millimeters. Whew. Hope you guys appreciate it. It's not easy to handhold one-handed like that. And try to focus on everything too. Oh, there we go. I've been to this park on this channel several times. And of course that's because it's pretty close to home. But it's also Virginia's biggest state park, so the variety of trails and the breadth of trails, there's, I forget how many miles, I'll look it up and put it in here, but it's like dozens of miles of trails in this park. And forest roads like the one I'm on, close to vehicular traffic, but you know, for park personnel, if they ever need to reach parts of the park, yeah, they can do that. But it's beautiful, especially this time of year. Very nice. Very glad to have this park close to home. And it's cool because it's actually, even though it's close to home, it's a bit of a drive. It's like 40 minutes if I were to go to the visitor center. But there's lots of entrances to these forest roads along the perimeter of the park. And that's only about 15 minutes from home. So that's what I tend to do. Park out there at the perimeter and then hike in. And from there you can connect to the central network of trails. A bunch of mountain bike trails too. Might have to try that sometime. Yeah, great park. I'm kind of liking this action up ahead here too. I like bends in the trail like that, and the color I think would work out nicely for me. All right, let me grab that shot real quick. Okay, here's something. So, relative distance between your subject and your background is important to keep in mind. So what I'm seeing here, let me actually use my zoom. So these branches right in front of me, right here, nice and colorful, still a little yellowish orange. Behind them is a tree that's more further along, so darker orange. And then there's some yellows and greens behind that. So my thought is, if I can focus on these front branches and try to fill the frame behind it with some neat colors, that might be cool. So let's see what that looks like. So quick initial thoughts on using the Pocket 3 today on my first outing with it. I like it a lot. It's so much more user-friendly than the Pocket 2. And despite being basically the same form factor, having that larger screen is just a game changer, especially with touch menu options on it. So much nicer. I'm just hoping the video quality, of course, is what I'm expecting, hoping it will be. So we'll get home and take a look at that, and you can see it too, and you have been seeing it, hopefully. Yeah, so far so good. It's a little pricier than the Pocket 2 was, but I guess that makes sense given the larger sensor, better camera quality, overall quality of life improvements. Looks great. So I'm not on the home stretch yet, but I'm heading that way. But it's getting towards my time where I need to start heading to lunch. So I won't say goodbye quite yet. See if I see anything else good, but my focus right now is walking rather than photos. So adjust your expectations accordingly. So here's a shot I'm liking. Getting close to the car, but yeah, this tree stump here. Zoom in on that a little bit. The way it's spiky but smooth like that, that's pretty cool. And the green, the ferns behind it, yeah. It speaks to me. So, what I'm gonna do, I'm still using the 24 to 105, by the way. And apologies, let me flip my screen around. I usually keep the screen closed for protection. All right, there we are. So, back up here. If I focus on that, this is pretty wide, so probably not necessarily going to use that. Okay, so here I'm zoomed in to just about 40 millimeters on this, which is 64-ish on a crop sensor. Kind of liking that. Back up a little here. All right, and then I'm going to zoom in pretty far. So I'm at just about 100, 160. If I go vertical, nah, it's too much, too much. Let's keep it about 70. Yeah, that's not too bad. I'm at a 4 here. Hopefully that'll work well. Okay. Now I am on the home stretch, so unless I see something amazing between here and the car, I will say goodbye. So hope you've enjoyed this video. I did. I feel like it was a productive morning. But more importantly, it was a nice walk. Beautiful surroundings. And that's really what it's all about. Getting pictures is nice and all, but sometimes you just want to be out. In church. This is my church. Definitely. All right. So you know the drill. Be kind to yourself. Take care of each other. Don't forget to be awesome. Get out and wander. Until next time.